of want to know, give your side of the protest. Why were you there, and what happened, that you saw or that led, the initial incidents to occur for the fight?
So we had the piece that's missing out of Ian's article is we did have a Black Lives Matter protest weeks before the militia showed up. I think 2 or 3 weeks before the militia showed up, we had a Black Lives Matter protest, and it went off almost flawlessly. The very end, there was a small. Let me rewind. There was probably 200 or 300 people that showed up to the protest in Oakdale. And then there were probably 100 to 200 protesters, counter protesters, or quote unquote observers that showed up to kind of watch us from Oakdale. And that was probably the largest counter protesting I've ever seen at a protest in the area. And it was a lot of people throwing slurs, saying negative comments, laughing. While there was, again, no violence during the protest itself, at the very end, when there was one car that drove away, there was an incident, and a beer bottle got thrown into a car of kids, and some kid got pulled out of the car and got beat up pretty bad and ended up in the hospital. So that incident got, obviously got blown up not out of proportion. It was a pretty big deal. But of course, there were two sides to that story on social media constantly, which was really unfortunate. And the then whatever right wing organization wanted to kind of prove their strength is the only thing I can think of. And so they decided to make up a rumor that the Black Lives protest was coming back, that we were going to do it again for God knows what reason. Why we would do that again, I don't know why. But they made up a flyer that supposedly we were doing another protest, and we weren't. Like, nobody was planning a protest. And I made it very clear on social media. I contacted law enforcement. I contacted the city council. I let everybody know this is not happening again. We're not doing this. And yet they still kept advertising this on All Things Oakdale. And I think, again, it was 100% so that they could show force through hiring this militia to come out and open carry on our streets when there was zero threat. Businesses closed that day. Like, people did not go to work that day. They locked their doors and they did not go to work because they were afraid of what was going to happen. And there was no reason to. It was all a myth. It was all a lie. So that these men, and there were about 20 of them, could show up in full gear, full military gear, with semi-automatic weapons, holding them loaded with ammunition all over their bodies and bulletproof vests in camo gear. I mean, it was unfreaking believable. And the sheriff did nothing about it. The police did nothing. We don't allow open carry, and yet these men, all men, were allowed to do this in our town. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. No consequences whatsoever. And of course, there was social media constantly praising this, celebrating this. And it was gross. It was just gross.
I was reading along a few different news articles that had covered it, such as, the SOB and CBS News, and even other local areas at the time. It got some media coverage, but one thing I did notice is that the police department, they had said they're allowed to open carry on private property, but they're not allowed to open carry on public property. And I feel like they were trying to give a both sides approach to appear non-biased, but is that the best approach?
So I don't know that. So I also went to city council meetings after this event because myself and multiple people in town were super upset and fearful. And so we went, including a lot of business owners that I knew, that felt like this was wholly uncool. And yes, absolutely 100%. I understand the law. When you're on private property, you can carry whatever weapon you want. But I can guarantee you that the sidewalk is not private property. And they were all standing on the sidewalk, barring a couple of guys that were on the rooftop of the building, of the gentleman that called them in the first place. So the owner of H-Bar B, they say hired. I think they just invited these guys for free to come out and show off their fancy little guns. And yeah, they were not on private property. They walked all over downtown. And again, I think that's the police's way of saying we didn't do anything wrong, because in city council, the city, in the city council meeting, it was clear that these guys were not lawfully carrying. But again, nothing was done. Absolutely nothing was done by the city council. The mayor did nothing. The chief of police was like, oh no, it was legal because they were on private property. It's like, no, they were not. I'm sorry. I'm a witness. I saw it. I'm not blind. I saw it. I was there.
What was the reaction of other Oakdale residents? Did many people feel divided? Did some people have the same kind of opinion?
No, it was definitely divided, 100%. It was either they celebrated it and were excited about it, or they were not. They were very unhappy, very disturbed by it, thought it was unnecessary and out of proportion for the situation.